Hello, Dr. Vikki Peterson here. I want to tell you, I was listening to a really fascinating lecture by Christina Warrener, and she's an archaeological scientist. And I found it so interesting because we've all heard of the paleo diet. I mean, it's been around for a very, very long time. And there are certain contentions of the paleo diet that, of course, are based on what Paleolithic man did and did not do food-wise, and a lot of the tenets of the diet have to do with the fact that pre-agricultural revolution we were all healthier, and our downfall has been the fact that we're eating grains and nuts and seeds. Is it nuts and seeds? Hold on. That we're eating grains, yeah, legumes, so those are the beans, sorry, not the nuts and seeds. The grains, legumes, and dairy. Now, dairy I'm in agreement with, I really don't see any purpose, but the legumes, definitely. So our legumes and grains and dairy, has that been our downfall? And of course, the other side of the coin is that Paleolithic man was eating a tremendous amount of meat, and that's why he was so healthy and he didn't have all these diseases that we have. So I didn't know how to argue the point whether Paleolithic man ate a lot of meat or not, and certainly had no foundation in understanding whether he did or did not eat legumes and grains. But Christina Warrener is quite smart, and here's what she had to say. So I think it's pretty fascinating. So what she said was that vision of what Paleolithic man actually has absolutely no basis in archaeological records, and that's what she does for a living, archaeological records. So she started with looking that man ate large quantities of meat, and she said that really anatomically, physiologically, genetically, we really have no adaptations that show that we are designed to eat a lot of meat. And she brought up a few key points. Carnivores who eat exclusively meat can produce vitamin C, because vitamin C is so important. Those who are designed more to eat plants can't, and we can't. There's certain, the size or length of your intestinal tract. Animals that are purely carnivorous, meat can putrefy. So they have pretty short digestive tracts to get the meat in and out and not allow it to putrefy in the system. However, those who are more designed to eat plants have a very long digestive tract because it takes time to break down those plants. And also we have so that's us humans, we have 23 feet of small intestine and about 10 to 12 large intestines. So we have a very long digestive tract, which she noted is more associated with herbivores, people who, animals designed to eat more plants because it takes time to break it down. And also plants have a lot of fiber, and we have our microbiome, which is our 39 trillion organisms in our large intestine that get fed healthfully by that fiber. And if we were purely carnivores, we wouldn't have that type of microbiome. So that was pretty interesting. Then she talked about the fact that that the Paleolithic man was supposedly never ate any grains or legumes. And so she said that they found stone tool evidence from 30,000 years ago, which is 20,000 years before we supposedly ate any grains or legumes. And, you know, so one thing, stone tools that look like mortars and pestles, you go, well, that's nice that they had the tools, but do you know what they did with it? Aha, she does. So they actually find teeth and look at the calculus. You know, that's the thing that when you get your teeth cleaned, the hygienist is, you know, kind of scraping off your teeth. And in that calculus, they can see, in this ancient calculus, it's fascinating, they can see what people ate. And sure enough, they found grains like barley, legumes, and tubers. So they found the beans, the legumes, they found the grains in the dental calculus. Pretty cool, right? So I want to see what else. Oh, the other thing was one of, she calls them the myths of the paleo diet, but a lot of it is based on looking at nitrogen isotope analysis. So apparently there's light nitrogen and heavy nitrogen, and the higher up the food chain you are, or the more carnivorous you are, the more heavy nitrogen you'll have. And so a lot of that is again, one of the tenets of the paleo diet is that there's the Paleolithic man had this heavy nitrogen in his bones. So she went to town on that one and said that that analysis is not accurate because it has to do with how much, how arid the climate was versus water, fertilization methods. So she made several examples. I'll just give you two. So in East Africa, they found that the bones of humans were higher than lions. Now we know that lions are purely carnivores, and nobody was arguing that Paleolithic man ate meat and nothing else. We know that's not true. So to go above the lion, clearly there's an analysis problem. And then the other thing had to do with the Mayans, and showing that the ancient Mayans showed their bones showed heavier than jaguars. So again, jaguar, pure carnivore, and we know ancient Mayans ate a lot of corn. So that didn't add up either. So that nitrogen analysis is flawed, and I'm sure one day they'll do better. But that's where a lot of the paleo tenets came from, this idea that man ate a lot of meat, Paleolithic man, and again, so she's finding that didn't add up. So then she ended up with some lessons, which I think were interesting, that we need a high diversity of fresh food, which I can definitely concur, and that our processed foods are laden with soy, corn, and wheat, not to mention they're GMO, and not just processed, but GMO, so it makes them very toxic, and it's really a problem. The highly processed food is creating so many problems. One, for the diversity of our microbiome, because these processed foods are really devoid of fiber, and within the fresh foods, including the grains and legumes, fruits and vegetables, are these fibers that are designed to be not be digested. They act as fuel for the other guys, the good guys in your gut, and that is by design. And as soon as we get into this processed food, that's part of our problems. Oh, and the low fiber diets actually give a microbial, or the balance of the good bacteria, bad bacteria, more bad bacteria, leading toward obesity and diabetes. So that's definitely data I think we've talked about on the channel before. Wanted to see what else she went over. That was pretty much it. So the reason I bring this up is as I said, the paleo diet, I don't agree with the heavy meat. I definitely agree with the no sugar and no dairy. I'm a big proponent of legumes because they're rich in fiber, and we just went over the importance of that. The longest lived populations on the planet of humans have diets very rich in legumes, very fresh diets. There's a lot of, you can look at the book, The Blue Zones, for more data on that. But as I said, definitely not into archaeology, so had no means of knowing, how true or false the aspect of ancient man not eating, did he or she eat grains or legumes? Certainly I had no evidence of that other than what the paleo diet tenets talk about and maintain to be the truth. So this whole dental, the dental analysis of the plaque and what they found from the teeth, proving that legumes were eaten, grains like barley were eaten. Very fascinating, I think. So, so where does this leave us? I don't think man should be consuming a lot of meat. I do think we need obviously very fresh food very rich in fiber, and if we push toward a pretty strong whole food plant-based diet, and that whole food is really the major part of it, that is by design the way our bodies are meant to be, based on not just current science and what we see people do best with, but also ancient man, and you know, the body's physiology just doesn't change that quickly. So I hope you found that interesting. I was kind of fascinated by it, and ultimately it's all about maintaining your good health, and that's what I love to do. So if you're not enjoying the health that you want, or a family member isn't, please reach out. That's why we're here, is to get to the root of why, and we have great tools. We typically use no drugs, and it works really, really well. So give me a call, 408-733-0400.